Okay, first of all, here's the update to the SAFE Act. Broome County passed the resolution on Thursday, and Mr. Tresman goes forward to court on April 29th. Now, I like to clarify a few things about the Boston manhunt for the bombers. Obviously, I could spend 7 hours talking about it and not cover 1% of it. We're talking about the unconstitutional Fourth Amendment violations that were committed by the various police forces, blah, 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 etc., etc., etc. Let me clarify that for a minute. A lot of people said their homes were unjustifiably searched, martial law, etc., etc. One of the primary exceptions to the warrant requirement is the emergency exception. There are about 20 reasons a police officer can search you without a warrant and still be legal. One of them is an emergency. Emergency means the suspect might get away, the suspect might hurt someone, or evidence might disappear, and if he goes to get a warrant, valuable time will be wasted. Now, you have a very, very dangerous terrorist. He may have been a 19-year-old kid, but he was probably the most dangerous person in America that day. They definitely murdered a police officer. They definitely tried to murder another. I heard they robbed a 7-Eleven. I also heard it was an unrelated criminal. They definitely carjacked someone. They definitely engaged in 2 firefights. They definitely had firearms, some more homemade bombs, which leads people to believe they were going to perform another terrorist act, and some handheld homemade grenades or sticks of dynamite or something of that nature. Okay? They set off a bomb and killed 3 people, 2 women and a child, and injured at least 180 others. Plus all the stuff they did the last 24 hours before one was killed, one was captured. Now, that qualifies as an emergency. Because if the police go to get a warrant from the judge's house, because court was probably closed yesterday, they probably had to go to the judge's house to get a warrant and give testimony. What if the terrorist takes a hostage, escapes from town, carjacks someone else, hijacks a cab? So they had to search every home without a warrant. Now, when a police officer searches your home, when a police officer searches, they are only allowed to search for a criminal or evidence of a crime or a victim of a crime. And they're only allowed to search in a place where that thing could be. So they're not allowed to search in this garbage can, but they are allowed to search in the giant garbage can in your front yard. They're not allowed to open up your little desk drawer and rummage through your paperwork, but they are allowed to look under your bed, and in your closets, and in your cabinets, and in your refrigerator, and in your oven. You can fit a guy in an oven. It won't be comfortable, but you can fit him. Take the racks out, he'll fit. Cabinets, any place where a 5'9" male can hide, can be legally searched. Now, when the police when the police knock on your door, you want to check the peephole or check the window to make sure it is a cop. They are required by law to say, "This is the police, open up." They can't just say, "Open the fucking door." They gotta say, "I'm a cop, open the door." You would have your weapon out. You would have your weapons ready, being locked up all day with a terrorist on the loose. But when the officer comes in, you don't want to open the door like this. You want to put the gun down or aside or hide it somewhere. Okay? Now, you are allowed to ask the officers' names. If there's 20, that would take too long. 20 officers identify themselves to you, and to you, and to you, and to you. That would take too long. So I would say, who is the commanding officer here? That guy is. What's his rank and name? sergeant, blah, 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 lieutenant, cap, whatever the fuck his name is. Okay? You are allowed to videotape it. You are allowed to say, this is a video camera, it's turned on. Let's go search the house. You are allowed to say, I'm coming with you. Yes, I assume the risk. Yes, I know you're not responsible for my decision. I am going to come with you and search. If I get hurt, that's my fault. Like if the terrorist is hiding in the basement and kills me, that's my fault. But I'm going to search with you. That door's locked. Here's the key. Check under the bed. That closet has that in it. That closet is pretty full. Stuff might fall out and fall on top of you. Okay? So, you would help them look in areas where the terrorists can hide. If they open your wife's jewelry box, you might want to complain to Internal Affairs later. If they try to physically take property away from you, like they say, what the fuck you need a gun for? Okay? Okay? If they try to take your property away, complain. Okay? But they can legally come in your house and they can legally search it from top to bottom and look in every place the terrorists can hide. Yes, they can. And now remember, they had already killed a police officer, tried to kill another police officer. Okay? So, and endangered a lot of other lives. Okay? So the police do not want to hear your shit. Okay? When they're looking for a cop killer, get the fuck out of their way, because they're not in the mood. They're looking for a cop killer, they're looking for a terrorist, and you're like, fuck you, pig, I don't want you in my house, you scumbag, fuck you. Okay? Don't do that. Because they're going to get mad. There were reports that cops were yelling at people. There were reports that cops were manhandling people. If that's true, I will complain to Internal Affairs. But they can legally conduct a search and they can go in. No warrant, they go in. Because by the time they get a warrant, the terrorists could take a family hostage. And those guys were the type of guys that would have done that. Now, why did they have to go around with these fucking armored vehicles? And they had the Humvees. They were ATF actually had Humvees there. They're painted black. They had the ATF logo on. They had the machine gun turrets. They had the National Guard there. They were decked out with this and that. They looked like it was a fucking war zone. Why did they do that? Okay. Do you know how we talk about when the shit hits the fan? Well, the shit hit the fan. Now, I've heard guys like Nothing Fancy. We might not always agree with him. I've heard guys like Nothing Fancy say, when the shit hits the fan, I want a full duty pistol. I want a fixed blade knife. I want a vest. I want a tactical carbine. I want a helmet. And that's what you saw. Okay? Because they were looking for guys that had handguns, bombs with shrapnel in them, that could rip through, the nails and ball bearings that could rip through body armor. Okay? They were not looking for little fucking Girl Scouts. They were looking for dangerous terrorists. Okay? So they would be stupid not to have that shit. And a lot of other guys complained about, well, why did they have to do this? Why did this city have to go on lockdown? Why did they have to close the entire city down? Why did they have to lock us indoors all fucking day? We were scared. Okay. Could they have easily looked through Boston with everybody out in the street? They were looking for a white guy. He's a Muslim, but he's a white guy. He's a white kid with black curly hair. Okay? He fits a lot of descriptions. So, could the police afford to walk down the street with full battle gear on, looking at tens of thousands of people? Wait a minute. That guy. No, not him. Go on. That guy. No, go on. Okay? They couldn't afford to do that 10,000 times. Please. Okay? Now, as far as the shut down cabs, shut down buses, shut down trains, close the schools, close the store, close the office, close this, close that, why the fuck was that necessary? Okay. Let's assume that the terrorists went into a cab, got on a bus, got on a train, and escaped. Let's assume the terrorists got on a bus, got on a train, and started taking hostages and hijacking shit. Let's assume the terrorists went to a school and started shooting the fucking place up. Okay? When the world is coming to an end, they've got to keep everybody off the street for their own safety. Does it suck? Of course it sucks. You want to go to work, you want to go to school, you want to go out with your friends. You don't want to fucking sit in the house all day. But do you want to be hijacked? Do you want to get the fucking phone call that the schools were open, and because the schools were open, the terrorists went to school, shot a whole bunch of kids, killed the teacher, took her car keys, and is now escaping? Is that the phone call you want to get? We opened up the mall. The terrorist went to the mall, went into a store, rigged it with explosives, shot 4 people, and now he's holding hostages. That the call you want to get? Now, when the emergency is over, it's over. So if a SWAT team comes to Boston today and says, let me search your house without a warrant, that's a problem. Okay? Like, let's assume for argument's sake the SWAT team is looking for a terrorist in my home. There's a terrorist loose in Yonkers, and he's in my home. They're caught him. Terrorist loose in Yonkers, SWAT team in my house. They get a radio call. 0 margin of error, we have arrested the terrorist. He was caught somewhere else. The police came to my home to look for the terrorist. He's now caught. Immediately the search ends and they leave. Otherwise, I complain later. Okay? So, as long as the suspect is at large, everyone is in danger. As long as the suspect is at large, they can lock the city down. As long as the suspect is at large, they're not going to take any fucking chances. And let me tell you, I don't blame it. Think about this, okay? If you were a cop in that area yesterday, would you be walking around with a fucking t-shirt and a 6-shot revolver with 38 special loads? No. And I wouldn't either. So, think about that. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is my psychotic hatred of the fucking media. Some people in the media, and that fat cocksucker Michael Moore, said this is legal gun owners setting off a bomb because they're upset about gun control. Fuck you. Now, this is the work of the Tea Party terrorists. This must be a right-wing conservative terrorist. Some of them actually said, I hope it's a right-winger. I hope it's a gun rights advocate. I hope this is Republicans. Okay? One motherfucker on NBC said, and by the way, if you watch NBC News, unsubscribe, because I don't want you watching me anymore. Leave me the fuck alone, thank you. NBC News said flat out, the NRA is obstructing the investigation and aiding the terrorists. Okay? So even when you got women and children dead, even when you got cops dead, even when you got the most dangerous motherfucker in the country on the loose, threatening people, you still got time to spread propaganda and fear-mongering and lies. And you fucking make me so fucking sick. I want to fucking puke my fucking brains out. Oh, you cocksuckers. Ugh, you cocksuckers. Fucking cocksuckers. Okay, thank you.